And we are live at 7 p.m. on a Tuesday in northern Minnesota. I'm Clint Helinski. I have a bunch of guests here. Mandy Summers, the artist and writer of Worth the Wizard, an awesome book that everybody should definitely check out if you haven't already. Tell your friends about it. I got my buddy Mark Polton here.
Hey guys.
Who is the writer of Sea Dog and Codename Killswitch, the comic that I'm the artist on. We're going to be talking about both of those books during the stream tonight here. And then also we have another guest, Mike McMahon, the artist with Mark Polton on USA Assassin, a really kick-ass book that was an add-on with Graveyard Shift, but is also, I think, going to be coming out with the second issue at some point. Maybe Mark can tell us a little bit about that quick.
Sure. Yeah. So the Graveyard or US Assassin 1 was a stretch goal for a Graveyard Shift when we hit $170,000, which we hit like in the last minutes of the campaign.
That's a nice goal to hit.
Yeah, it was really it was an exciting last day.
No doubt.
Yeah. So
Hail Mary.
Yeah, I think we funded $30,000 the last day to hit that goal. So all the backers get a free copy of our 80-page U.S. Assassin graphic novel, which I'm the writer of. Mike's the artist. Even my son Chase, he chipped in. He created one of the characters, Bazooka Dog and Slither.
Yep.
So. Yeah, so we're hoping to have the second volume ready to launch just as everyone's getting their free copy of Volume 1. I feel like that would be a nice way to launch.
Yeah.
Yep, definitely. And then we got Mandy over here with her book, Worth the Wizard. I just pulled it up on the screen here. Nope, I think I started the video, which is fine. Didn't mean to start the video, but as soon as I figure out how to pause it, we'll talk to Mandy here. Learning this as I go. All right, Mandy. I've got the variant covers here on the main screen for everybody to check out. Very cool looking book.
Thank you.
Where did you you want to tell us a little bit about the book, where the ideas came from, and just kind of like maybe a little bit about, what you decided to do with the book and do it as a comic?
Yeah, absolutely. So, a long time ago, when my daughter, I was reading a book every night since, I don't know, she was probably about 7 months. I would hold her and we would read books. After a while, we were reading we just kind of ran out of stuff that she wanted to read. And one night I was so fed up with her and I was like, all right, what book do you want me to read? And she wouldn't pick. And I was like, well, what about this one? And no, and then, okay, this one. So I finally was like, okay, just get your butt in bed and I'll make something up. And that is basically where Worth the Wizard came from. It is a goofy story that I told my daughter one night, and then it kind of snowballed. So every night she was wanting Worth the Wizard. So I eventually had to actually go and get a notebook and start keeping up with like the characters and all of like what they've done. And so, because it was like a solid, maybe year and a half of every single night spending 30 minutes or so making stuff up. So yeah,
that's all comics is.
Right. So yeah, then I was looking. I bought the new Rainbow Bright comic, and after I think 5, maybe 6 issues, it got canceled. And I was like, what the crap? What is up with that? So I started kind of Googling what was going on. And then I read into the stuff about, your boy Zach. And then that led me to Comicsgate, which led me to, and I was like, you know what? I honestly, believe in this. And I have a story that I think I know my kids love it. So I can assume other kids are going to as well. So I just decided, you know what? I want to be a part of this movement. So I made a comic book.
That is awesome. That is a very cool way to start a comic book. Just reading reading and making up stories for your kids and then turning it into a comic book. That is definitely kind of that's a better origin into comics than a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is very cool. Well, and I saw today that you're a big Liefeld fan too, because we have a few ties to Rob here.
No, really?
Well, yeah, Mark definitely, and me a little bit. But you're a big Rob fan?
I'm a huge Rob fan. Huge. I have loved him since New Mutants. Anything with Cable in it. Absolutely, I love Cable. Deadpool, and just all of them. Just anything that Rob Liefeld does, I'm just like, he's awesome.
Maybe we can twist Mark's arm and what is your first how did you meet Rob, Mark?
So back in the early 2000s, Rob had a message board. Well, actually, there was the Rob Liefeld appreciation thread on Miller World. And Rob,
yeah, I remember Miller. I forgot about Miller World.
Yeah, and Rob would pop in every now and then and talk to us, but there were so many trolls every time he would pop in attacking him. He just had enough of it, and he started his own message boards.
He's like you'll appreciate it. He's like the Rob, he's the John Cena.
Oh yeah,
of comics, because he's as popular for the people that hate him as the people that love him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So he started his own message board, and I was like one of the first people there. And it was right around when I was breaking into comics, so I would post pages of my indie book, Coney Waves, and Rob was like really supportive of it. And one day I just sent him a DM and said, "Hey, I'd really like to work with you one day. Can you give me any tips or advice?" And he responded back and he said, "Mark, we are going to work together one day." And then he just left it at that. And then it was Thanksgiving 2006. I get a call on my cell phone, and I didn't recognize the number. I usually don't answer, but I decided to answer, and I was like, "Hello," and he was like, "Polton, it's Liefeld. What's up?"
Gosh.
He had tracked down my number from one of the other guys on the message board, and he talked my ear off for like 2 hours, just telling me like stories about Extreme and how he had plans of bringing Evangeline back, and he thought I would be the perfect writer to bring her back because of my book Coney Waves. And I was like on cloud 9 the whole time. That 2 hour conversation, I don't think I said maybe 1 or 2 words, because when you talk to Rob just like, Rob dominates the conversation.
A million ideas.
Yeah. So I was so excited, and this was 2006. The Evangeline series didn't come out until 2011. I kept like nudging him to the point where he nicknamed me the squeaky wheel. Because
that's what you have to do though, because you kind of get forgotten otherwise.
Yeah, that's my advice to people: never give up. But along the way, Rob would give me other assignments. I helped him relaunch Brigade back in 2010.
Sweet.
I worked on Image United, which growing up as a fan of all the Image founders, to get to work on a book that they all worked on was such a huge thrill. And I got to script the backup story for issue 2, which is cool because it's one of the few issues that actually came out.
That is freaking awesome.
Yeah. So
totally.
So we launched Evangeline in 2011, and around that time was when the New 52 was going on, and Rob was doing a bunch of books there, and they wanted to do more. And he was like, "I can do these, but I need help." And DC said, "Who do you want to work with?" And he said, "Well, I'd like to work with Mark." And they put us, they put us on Hawkman together.
Yeah.
So we our Hawkman run, it was so much fun because Art T. Bear was the inker on the book.
Oh,
Joe
awesome.
Bennett, Joe Bennett was the artist.
Oh,
and
I remember that now.
Yeah, and Joe had done Supreme at Extreme, so I was in heaven. Yeah, so
Hawkman never looked so good.
Yeah,
with
Joe's.
with all these talks of artists, let's switch over to Mike. Hey, Mike.
Yeah.
I didn't forget about you.
No, that's all right.
Making my segues between everybody, but I was just talking to Andrew about some of your art and how much we love. I saw some of your pinups with the detail, and dude, your stuff is looking awesome, man.
Thanks.
Absolutely loving it. Let's maybe I'll ask you like your influences, because I mean I see some. You like the heavy detail, like I like. You and I think probably have some similar favorite artists. So let me ask you about some of your artistic influences.
Yeah, I mean, mainly the image guys.
Yeah.
My the first time I noticed an artist was John Romita Jr. on Spider-Man back in the early '80s.
Before his style changed and he had that super clean early '80s style.
Yeah.
I got a bunch of those comics too.
Yeah. My actual, I mean, if anyone ever wants a clinic in storytelling, pick up the trade that he did with Frank Miller of A Man Without Fear, because there isn't a costume till the very last double-page splash of Daredevil, and it's just telling the story of Daredevil, and it's one of my favorite stories of all time. But then the image guys hit, and I had kind of gone out of Spider-Man because I discovered, of course, Romita went to X-Men, and I was kind of like, oh, this is a little more serious than Spider-Man is. The first book I ever saw was the one where Wolverine's standing over Kitty Pryde's body, and I was just like, oh, this isn't Saturday morning cartoons, and then I kind of got back into Spider-Man because of McFarlane.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people did.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is I didn't realize that I had collected some of his stuff from DC, but I didn't really, at the time, I wasn't really looking at artists. I was just picking up books that looked cool.
Sure.
And, the Invasion miniseries that he did was pretty cool, and so his Spider-Man stuff, I never really got to the Hulk, but his Spider-Man stuff was so awesome, and
his Hulk looked so squishy.
Yeah, he looked like Play-Doh on a skeleton.
When it looked like Wolverine could just like poke him and he would like pop.
Yeah, and then of course Jim Lee came along and dominated.
My patron saint.
Yeah, and I've come to the conclusion I will never be Jim Lee, and I'm okay with
me
that.
too.
But I've kind of tried to bring more, like the stuff I self-published in the '90s, a couple books, and it's very Jim Lee, Mark Silvestri influenced.
I love Silvestri.
Yeah, Silvestri's great. I honestly think the underdog of the early '90s was Will Spertasio. I think, looking back, his stuff was better than Jim's, in my opinion, because it had like the energy that like Rob has, with his work. Except it was like Jim's kind of realistic aesthetic, but with that like energy that Rob had, and so that looking back now, I think he was not as popular as he should have been. I think he should have been.
Well, I think there was just some stuff that happened right when they were launching too, and life.
His
this
sister
is just what I've heard through Comic Cons through years, and it is just unfortunate.
Yeah, his sister had an illness, passed away.
That's what I had heard too. So that's just terrible any way you slice it. So.
Yeah, but artistic influences. I've been igniting my love for early classic Valiant stuff.
Oh yeah,
that Joe Quesada did. I actually found some Valiant Vision glasses, and they made my head hurt. But yeah, that stuff, and I kind of went away from mainstream books because everyone was going towards like the Joe Mad, and I like my manga in a manga. I don't like it in my.
Gotcha. Yeah.
It was too much. You can't go from. They kind of did like Jim Lee after Jim, like Brandon Peterson Andy Kubert, and then you go and Brandon Peterson.
Mark got to talk to, or I think is going to be doing something with Art T-Bear.
Awesome.
And I definitely want to talk to Art.
Yeah.
Oh, he's amazing. He's a sweetheart.
Yeah. But one of the best issues of X-Men and penciled himself right after Jim.
Yep.
I so want to ask him about that and just hear the. I mean, I'm sure there was some pressure involved in that, following Jim on X-Men at the height. Was. And I would love to hear any of those stories.
Yeah, and then he did
let's get back to some of the comics here, and I got a couple of Mandy's covers up here that we can check out. You got the variant covers. Your book's doing great here. I'm going to scroll up to the top here, but you're almost at 200 backers, Mandy.
That's awesome. I know. It's like my mind is absolutely blown. It's just like a dream come true.
9,000 is right there, and I gotta imagine 10,000. I mean, we just need a few followers. We need Comicsgate to like kind of grab attention to it. But yeah, your book is doing fantastic. Do you want to talk a little bit about how your campaign has gone? And like, what I would love to hear about is, as this is my first YouTube show and I have zero idea what I'm doing. Maybe just hear a little bit about how you developed your YouTube channel to advertise your book. I'd love to hear about that.
All right. Well, let's see. With my YouTube channel, anybody that kind of watched me at the beginning knows I was a hot mess. I was trying to do a book called The Extractors, and it took 3 times, 3 different streams to actually do the book pitch. I'm really bad, honestly, about pushing my own book, because I've said from the beginning, the stuff with my campaign, even though it's not anymore, it was kind of scary to me because I didn't know if I was going to get funded. But talking about other people's books, that was really, really fun for me.
Oh, sure.
So that's pretty much what I did with my channel. Is I thought, you know what? I'm gonna talk to other people about their books, because at the end I just kind of throw mine in there at the very end. But no, I love talking to all the creators because, like I said, when I joined, I wanted to be a part of the movement. I didn't want to just make a book and make some. I really wanted to be a part of the community and meet all the artists and all the creators. And I mean,
Absolutely.
It's just so that's pretty much what I do. I've thrown in a couple little fun things like me and Peter Gilmore do WTF is all this junk, where we each go to Dollar Tree or Poundland in his case and buy $10 worth of crap and sit there and pretty much play with it. And we have a little contest to see who got the best stuff for $10 at a Dollar Tree or Poundland. So, and then we do like little science stuff now. And yeah, no, it's, for me, the fun part is really just talking to other people about their projects. Cause it's so fun.
Absolutely. And then we'll kick it back to Mark. Hey, Mark.
Hey.
And What's up? Can talk a little Sea Dog and Codename Killswitch.
Sure.
And I'll see if, let's see here. Oops, almost. Maybe. Thinking about it. Gonna try. And boom, look at that. Switch to actual pages. You don't know how good I feel about myself doing that right now.
I'm proud of you. I know
what
that's like. You're nailing it.
You're sweet, Manny. Thank you. Appreciate it. So now I know the story mostly because I was a little bit involved. But do you want to start with you and Chase and tell a little bit about the creation of the wonderful character Sea Dog?
Sure. So we were talking about Graveyard Shift and how exciting like the last days of the campaign were. Well, I don't think there was anyone more excited than Chase. He was so excited about it. He would ask me for updates all the time. And we had worked together. We had done our book Pizza Tree. And he was like, Dad, we need to do a cool comic book. I don't want to do a kiddie comic book again. So I was like, yeah, we can do a superhero book. And we came up with the idea for Sea Dog. And Sea Dog's not just a superhero dog. He's also the world's most famous canine rapper, Sea Dog. And the great thing is, no one realizes that there's a famous dog rapper and a famous dog superhero. No one knows that they're the same person.
Which is the best part of the whole concept.
Yeah. I mean, Sea Dog wears a mask, so you can't really tell they're the same person.
You should have seen my face when I was explaining the concept to my wife of what I was going to be drawing. He's a dog and he's a superhero named Sea Dog, but he's also a dog and a rapper named Sea Dog, spelled differently, but nobody knows they're the same guy.
Yeah, I think even you were a little confused too, because you were like, well, what does he look like when he's a rapper? And I was like, he's a dog.
I'm like, what does his human part look like? He's like, oh, there is no, okay.
So I think it's genius. It's just like, where my son came up with pizza tree. Where does pizza come from? It's simple. You plant a slice of pepperoni in the ground and a pizza tree grows. So, I mean, just his imagination has inspired me so much. But around the same time we were creating Sea Dog, you had hit me up and said, hey, would you be interested in working together? And it just sort of came together perfectly.
Hey, Mark, I'm going to pause you just for a second because these guys are trying to help me. How do I allow Jade Spider-Man to post links in the chat? He said something about dot. Yep.
Over on the right-hand side where you're seeing the chat, scroll down.
Yep, there's like comments, banner.
Right.
Yep.
Hover over the people's name that are talking, the one you want to reach, and there's three little dots. Click on the dots, and I don't remember what it actually says, but yeah, click on the dots, and it'll pull up the menu.
It just says put user in timeout, block user. I'm guessing I don't want to do either one of those to Jade.
I would not do those.
He said something like hit 3 dots and then something about we're trying to figure it out, Jade. Let's see.
It won't let me do it, so I can't help you.
No, I know.
I don't remember what it says. Maybe if you don't click on the dots, maybe just click on their thing, but I think that's going to pop it up.
Okay, here it is. When you hover over my chat, 3 dots appear. Click those dots, choose add moderator. Magic link shall then appear, except it's not giving me the option of add moderator, unfortunately. I'm trying, Jade, honestly, I am. So, yeah, the only option it gives me is put user in timeout, block user. That's unfortunate. Oh well.
Oh well.
You know what? I'll pull it up in another screen. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Mark, but I was trying to help these guys out, and
That's okay.
Actually, they're trying to help us out. But I'm not sure where I left you on that. So you and Chase figuring out the magic that is Sea Dog.
Yeah,
and when you finish that story, I'll put up a couple links so at least people can.
Yeah, and around the same time, you had hit me up and asked if I wanted to work with you on something, and I pitched you Sea Dog, and you had codename Kill Switch that you were monkeying around with, and you were like, you liked the idea, but you wanted to know if we could incorporate them. And I was like, yeah, definitely. And it just all seemed to come together perfectly.
Yeah, that was good timing right there.
Yeah. But
definitely.
But going back to
you want to tell everybody a little bit about the book, and I'm going to get Mandy's link here in the comments too. Then.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
What's that? Tell people about the book.
Yeah, if you want to talk a little bit about the book.
Sure. It's about a young Meta Neon when superhuman traffickers kidnap her. The government task force, codenamed Kill Switch, try to recruit the world's greatest hero, Sea Dog, to help them hunt her down. And Sea Dog's a little full of himself. Even though he's a dog, he considers himself a lone wolf. And he doesn't want to be part of a team. But when his owner, because he was a puppy and he had an owner, his owner gets kidnapped, and now he feels like he needs to be part of this to track them down and save not only Neon but his owner Peter. So it's as you can tell from the art, Clint's artwork, heavily influenced by our love of 90s comics. Tons of over the top action.
I really like Jim Lee, just in case nobody knows. I really like Jim Lee.
I find it funny, all the comments we get. These characters look a little familiar. You think?
If I've got the time, I kind of want to do an alternate version of the cover,
yeah.
But with the actual characters that I'm kind of ripping off. But
that'd be
them
fun.
In there with Sea Dog. I think that would kind of be a fun variant version. I'd get sued probably, but it might be kind of neat.
It would be awesome, though.
So here, let me.
So I know you asked before who, if people could guess who the characters were based off of. Can I take a guess?
Like, super close.
So Rebel, Harley.
Yeah, Mark Yoon, who's been following us from the beginning.
Yeah.
Like, he pieced together Tundras. Like, I stole a couple things from different rock characters.
Uh-huh.
He like actually pieced all 3 different versions. He's like, well, I read his little. I'm like, holy crap, you really paid attention. That's awesome, dude. Because he threw Sandman in there too, and like his power is a little bit more Sandman related than anything. So that was kind of neat.
Mark's a good guy. We worked on a book together before.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't know you knew him. Well, then how about that dude that did the pinup, who's like an animation guy? I'm trying to think of his handle now. But boy,
really awesome.
that was a beautiful piece of work there. But yep. And that's enough about us. Let's talk more about Worth the Wizard. So I'm going to pull the screen up here, but you were creating this story as you're reading to your daughter, Mandy.
Mm-hmm. That is right.
And you just kind of like, everything just created as you went along, and then you started the notepad like you said?
Right, yeah. I was just kind of, just snowballing, just brainstorming and just tossing stuff out there, and the stuff that, she laughed about. And that's pretty much, I picked my favorite parts of what I had in my notebook and made a kind of new original story out of it. But it's all little pieces of the big story that I've been telling forever, So,
right.
Yeah, so I just, like, me and her went through and we handpicked some of our favorites, and I made a brand new story out of it. And, Worth the Wizard.
No, it's very good. So, like, when you decided to get, you had found out about your boy Zach and Comicsgate a little bit, you just kind of dove in head first and like started like contacting people on Twitter and making connections, that kind of thing.
Ironically enough, how it happened is I had found out about it. I had never even been on Twitter before.
Sure,
I didn't care anything about Twitter. I pretty much showed up.
I'm right there with you.
And it was right as Rob's new book came out. So I just happened to take a picture of me holding, a Major X, and I was like, look, Rob, I got them, and they're awesome. And then I had, done the hashtag Comicsgate on there. Rob saw it and retweeted it. And then it was just like, I was noticed. And
wow.
That's all it took was one retweet for Rob. My very first retweet ever was Rob Liefeld on that picture. And so then, I ran into, Billy Tucci and, Roe and Gat Pan and all of them. And they all kind of took me in. It was like, all right, we're going to help you. We're going to help. So, because at that point, I really didn't even have like really any idea what I was doing. So yeah, they
just figuring stuff out is the hardest part, you know.
Yes. Yes. So yeah, no, it's Rob Liefeld got me noticed.
No doubt. Rob, Rob has a ton of detractors, and Rob doesn't draw feet and all that. Whatever. It's like Rob has helped so many people in comics that he didn't have to do. You know, he's like, there's a ton of pros working today because of Extreme Studios and Rob, like going out and finding, people like. I got to draw Youngblood. I was showing Rob my portfolio at Wizard World Chicago, and it was right when I think he was illegally selling ash can previews of his Captain America issues at his booth that he had printed himself, which is that's classic Rob Liefeld right there.
That's awesome.
Stealing money from Marvel Comics illegally. But yeah, I showed him my portfolio, and right there he shook my hand, and he's like, "Welcome to Image Comics." And it didn't quite work out the way I had hoped, but I did draw some Youngblood a little bit, not as much as I would have liked, but that was my introduction to Rob. So yeah, we've all got some kind of fun Rob stories.
Yeah.
Well, no, the book is looking. I think I have the wrong screen pulled up, but the book is looking great.
Thank you. Yeah, I've gotten so much better since I started. But I went digital, and that has really, that has helped me a lot. I'm not so nervous about it now.
Digital, I love it.
Yeah, like when I would ink, traditionally, I didn't want anybody even near me. Like I had to wait until the kids were all in bed because I was so afraid they were going to bump me or knock me or, whatever. And so.
Oh, absolutely.
So, it took a lot of the pressure off by being able to go digital because now if I mess up, I hit a back button and it takes it away and then I can start over. So, that's really helped.
Undo is magic. Mike, are you still? That's what I was gonna ask. Are you still paper and ink, Mike?
Oh. Yep.
So have you dabbled in digital yet, or you're just okay? And that's me. I got my Wacom about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years, and I was a paper and ink, crystal board, and microns.
Yeah,
I have boxes of dried out microns that you could build a cathedral out of.
Yeah,
if you wanted to, but
maybe
are
one
you
day,
interested in digital, or you're?
Maybe one day I'll dabble in it if I could ever afford one, but they're
not cheap. Yeah.
It's the old fart in me. Nothing.
Oh, and original art too.
Well, original art, but to me, there's no substituting pencil touching paper.
Yeah.
I've used some friends like iPads with the iPencil thing or whatever, but there's like such a disconnect. It's like touching the mirror.
Yes.
Not really touching what you want to.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I like the happy accidents. I like I don't know.
There's a feel. Definitely.
There is. That's actually what made me wait so long to go digital. Is I didn't think that I would I'm used to how the paper feels, how the pen feels, and I was afraid to mess with that, But it only took about maybe like 2 days, and I was like, okay, all right, I'm into this. This works. I got let's see, I think I was on like 75 pages of traditional drawing for my book, and then now I'm going back and have restarted everything.
Yeah,
because it really did improve my art so much with the pressure taken off, because I could be more experimental and I'm not so worried about, holy crap, if I mess this up, I'm so screwed. So so for me it's working. But I know exactly what you're talking about because I really like the way it feels.
My bucket of like markers and pens, but I'm like 19 pages into volume 2, and majority of it is all Crowquill. I decided to go back to Crowquill. I was
you're a Crowquill guy.
Yeah, I used to just be markers for like the books I did in the '90s were Crowquill before I even knew how to do it, or draw. But I started getting back into it because I was kind of going back and researching McFarlane, and then once Comicsgate came around and like all the drawn in quarters were going on, I was really inspired by Mike Miller because, you know, digital, you can go really fast if you want to.
Yeah.
But what inspired me was Mike would make these beautiful, gorgeous drawings in 2 hours with a dip pen, which is insane because
yeah, it is.
It takes such a mastery of it, and you know, like I've watched a couple of his streams. Like, there's no noise when he draws with his Crowquill and the ones I've watched, and I'm just like, you know, I could be as light as I want, and you'll still hear that dragging sound, but he's he's like a Crowquill ninja. I don't know.
I never mastered the Crowquill myself, so
yeah, I'm not even nowhere near mastering. I'm just fumbling through it as I go.
Yeah, I figured out how to fake everything with microns up to a point. I mean, you'll never 100% emulate a Crowquill with microns, but I kept micron in business for a long time.
Didn't we all?
But the freedom with digital is like never worrying about worrying about, you can't erase ink. There's it's like a release of like when I just F up a line and just, that's fixed. That's one of my favorite things right now.
Yeah,
I'm getting too old to worry about screwing up on inks.
Yeah, I love watching the time lapse videos that you put up on YouTube. You know, maybe I'll try to get into it at some point, but you know, I like making an accident and then trying to figure out, okay, how much whiteout and how am I going to, you know, fix this mistake. There's so much whiteout on these pages, it's ridiculous. Like I like re-sculpted stuff, and you know,
I was never good at using whiteout. I would literally do a piece of paper overlay.
Yeah.
Like just white typing paper, and I would re-ink it over that and then scan it. And you know, the scan lines aren't going to match up, and then I would go fix it in Photoshop. Like, that's how bad I was with whiteout. So.
Yeah, I'm not good with it. It bubbles up on me. It doesn't go smooth. It's like
it gets thick on there, and like
yes.
Sometimes I'll see like original art at a convention or something, and you'll see what somebody did with whiteout, and I'm like, how did they do that? Like, that's somebody who really knows what they're doing. It's like Jim will have like whiteout curvy bubbles on stuff.
Oh yeah.
Or like you'll see Rob will use the toothbrush trick, and it's just like, that's so much confidence in knowing what you're doing to not make it a complete disaster. Like, what do we got there?
That's all whiteout. That was my drawn and quartered from.
Oh wow, that is insane.
Yeah, that's whiteout, and
here, I'm gonna put you on bigger so that we
can through, and you know, there's oopses where I've just totally whited out and then gone back over it with a pen.
Wow, that looks awesome, dude.
It's beautiful.
Thanks.
That's amazing.
We were
absolutely
redesigning Captain.
I wouldn't even attempt that.
Well, I've never been mistaken for smart, so
that would go so wrong on me so fast.
Yeah, I don't know. I just, it's like I can't get into like digital comics like on an iPad or like I have Comixology and I have some books, but there's just, I'm a tactile person. I need to be able to hold it. Yeah, no,
and I get that. Well, especially with comics, it's like, I don't know, digital, Like I buy comics now just for the artist, basically, unless there's like some really good storyline, which there hasn't been a ton of.
No.
But I want to be able to like have the comic in my hands and like look at all the artwork, you know.
Yeah.
It's just there is a difference between digital and
It would be nice to have like a portable, like one of I think what John has is like it's like kind of like a Wacom, but it's like he can just have it on his lap.
Okay, yeah. Well, and I know with the iPads now, a lot of guys are using Procreate.
Yeah.
That's the program.
Yeah.
Like with my Wacom, I use Clip Studios.
Yeah.
And I think they're similar. I mean, Clip Studios is very close to Photoshop, but it's a little bit more handy when you're drawing, I think, than Photoshop is.
Much more.
It'd just be nice because, like, I have a 2-year-old on top of my other 3 kids, and
I saw your family picture. Beautiful family.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Very
so
nice.
we had instead of a midlife crisis, I decided to have another baby. So
There you go.
So now I can't afford a midlife crisis.
Yes.
I'd rather have him anyway. He's a hoot. But it's hard because like my wife is also a photographer. She does she's like a wedding photographer, but her main passion is she does boudoir photos, and she's very, very artsy. So when we met, we clicked pretty right away, and so she's always working and on her Mac doing her photography and stuff.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And with my stuff, it's I can't do a dip pen around him, so then I have to revert back to markers if
nothing like a subtle nudge here or there to just kind of screw up your whole day.
The happy accident, yeah. But that's what Whiteout's for. But yeah, someday it would be nice to have something like that. I have a buddy that does the Procreate on the iPad, and his stuff really turned a corner doing that. And I'm kind of curious what it would do for me, but at the same time, kind of like, well, it ain't gonna happen anytime soon. So because I don't have, they're expensive, and poor kids will make sure you don't get anything expensive.
I was looking at iPads, and you get the Procreate, and I'm like, whoa, that's a little steep there, but one of my friends uses it, and it has the nice thing with Procreate is it's got its own built-in record.
Oh, really?
So like the time-lapse videos that you're seeing of my stuff, I'm using a Wacom, but I'm using a separate screen recording program, which is a little annoying because there's a little bit of lag that it creates with the pen.
Yeah.
And then you have to take all the videos and edit them together, whereas with the Procreate, I found my buddy is just drawing free, no worries, recording it, and the Procreate recording session kind of takes care of the whole thing. So I'm a little envious of that because I've seen a couple of this stuff online, and it looks really nice. So
someday.
That's exactly someday.
Maybe if we hit it big with volume, I can afford it.
So Mark, you still there, buddy?
Yeah.
Make sure. You've got some wrestling stuff coming up later, from what I heard. You want to give us a preview? Because I am a wrestling fan. I'm probably not as hardcore as you, but I've been interested in the new AEW trying to go up against WWE. So maybe give us a preview of what's coming up later tonight.
So I do. So Edwin the Ace from Comicsgate, we get together and we do a little show called The Wrestling Crew, and it's me, it's Simon, and Joe Glass. I actually think we're not going tonight.
No.
Yeah. So, but last week we talked about the Wednesday night wars between AEW and NXT.
Yeah.
Just how unwatchable Raw has been lately.
Has it been that bad? I actually haven't caught it lately just because I've been watching the Wednesday night stuff.
Yeah, Wednesday's where it's at right now. I had just went to a live event, so we talked about that. It was House of Hardcore, which Tommy Dreamer from ECW runs that. Oh,
I was going to say, Tommy Dreamer's not wrestling, is he? He's got to be...
He still wrestles.
I remember Tommy Dreamer, and he was in bad shape back 15 years ago.
Well, the good thing is he still looks the same.
Oh my God. He's like the guy that comes out like with a 6-pack of beer and the cigarette and's like, where do I go?
So who is you guys' favorite? Your favorite wrestler of like all time?
Of all time, Roddy Piper.
Oh, cool.
Man, of all time.
I can't
I'm gonna have to think because I've got a lot. I got a lot of people I like. Roddy Piper was awesome back in the 80s.
Because like the 80s for me, it was Macho Man.
Yeah, Macho Man.
Yeah.
Oh,
and then,
yeah.
And then the 90s was kind of split. It was Bret Hart and then it was Sting.
Yeah, and I was kind of out in the 90s. I kind of got back right when The Rock was coming on.
Yeah.
And I mean, Jesus Christ, talk about having a little bit of charisma.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit, just a teeny bit. Yeah, I quit watching during the Stone Cold time when everybody was doing the what?
Yeah.
What? You couldn't even hear like the smack talk anymore. And then I think I played that. I watched it for maybe another, I don't know, 6 or 7 months, but it just wouldn't die. That thing just kept going. So that's about when I stopped watching. I started a little bit now as I have time to catch some. But yeah, I was always a, I don't know, Ric Flair and let me see, Stone Cold and The Rock and Sting and all the big ones.
I just remember my favorite is the Rated R Superstar, baby.
Yeah.
I was a huge fan of Edge. Just him on his own. I think he did like a vampire thing with Christian early on, but I missed all of that. But
the Brood.
Yeah, but the Rated R Superstar before he got hurt, that was my guy right there.
Yeah. I got back into wrestling in the early 2000s because of TNA and just seeing what they were able to do, where they were more about the in-ring action as opposed to the microphone stuff going on. Yeah. And like AJ Styles from the get-go was like, wow, what a breath of fresh air. And
all right.
God, Mark,
he's made it last too.
who's the guy that did the Canadian Destroyer?
Oh, Petey Williams.
Yeah, that was an amazing move. Every time I saw him, like, I don't know how he does it, but it's so cool. And then of course,
the guys I love, they're maybe not my favorite, but they're just like so ridiculously fun, and you can tell every time they walk in is I'm not going to think anybody's names, but Pancake Power. You got
New Day.
Yep, and I mean Kofi Kingston has to like thank his lucky stars that he like lucked into that. Because I mean Kofi's been around forever, and like never was kind of went over the top.
Yep.
But the second he got in with New Day, I mean those guys can do no wrong basically right now, and I mean the crowd loves them, and the three of them together work so well. It's like super fun to watch. I mean it's ridiculous, and I mean Big E, when Big E starts grinding out there, and that's family friendly fun right there. You can't get away with that too many places. That's a big dude breaking it down. Oh, New Day sucks. Oh, no. Somebody does not like the New Day. Hey, Snarkington. I'm not sure.
Oh, Snarky.
New Day might not be the best, but at least they're amusing.
Yeah, they're entainning.
Anyway, like to work a trombone into your act.
They're like the new equivalent of what was the one with the guy Rikishi and the other two guys? Too cool.
Too cool, yeah.
Yeah, they did their little bit, but they do their dance in the middle of the ring. And
yes.
Rikishi. It's a bad finishing move.
The stink face? Yeah, that was absolutely horrible.
Hopefully it wasn't Chili Night.
Yeah. So bad.
Never wanted to wrestle him because you knew it was coming.
Right? Yeah, there's no way. That's like, I I would never have went against Mankind because I wouldn't have wanted that sock in my mouth.
Oh yeah.
No way. I did think though the best tag team, and nobody agrees with me, but the most entertaining is when they put Gold Dust with Booker T.
Oh,
that was a lot of fun.
We're
no,
so
that was funny as hell though.
It was hilarious, those two, because Booker T just kept looking at him like, man, you're
Booker
kidding me,
T's
right?
eyeballs.
I
Booker
know.
T's eyeballs.
It was so hilarious when they stuck those two together.
It was fun. Hey, Mark, who's the Usos' dad? It's not Rikishi.
The Usos' dad? Yeah, it's Rikishi.
It is Rikishi. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was Tugboat. No, he is Tugboat. No. Are they two different people?
Tugboat, yeah, Tugboat's a different person.
My bad.
No, and what I just realized, because I hadn't seen Hobbs and Shaw until this weekend. I ordered it, and apparently the Usos brothers' names is the brothers in Samoan, because Uso is brother in Samoan. I just pieced that together. So they should really come out as the brothers instead of just the Uso brothers.
They should.
I'm guessing that was probably a little inside joke between all the Samoan wrestlers, but it's kind of funny once, and I didn't know it until I watched the old Hobbs and Shaw there with a nice guest appearance by Roman Reigns, my wife's favorite wrestler. I know, but my wife does not care.
Just like people love John Cena, Mark.
My wife does not care that they try to put Roman Reigns over. She just thinks he's lovely. That's really all she cares about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can kind of get that. Oh my God. Okay, Wyatt just said that Tugboat with the Shockmaster. Do y'all remember who the Shockmaster was? Because I'll be damned if he shocked the world.
Yeah, he tripped breaking through the wall.
Yes, and his thing came off and everything, and then that was it. I don't think he ever wrestled once, did he?
He did.
He did,
but he was kind of a joke after that.
How could you not be? They just got done, and he's gonna shock the world, and then he just like blood out there on his face, and it's like, oh no. That's like that guy. I don't remember who it was, but he tried to do like a little slide into the ring, and he missed it. He went up underneath the damn thing.
Oh yeah, that was Titus O'Neil. Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, Titus O'Neil. That dude was big.
Yeah.
Now, Mark, maybe I just figured out who Orange Cassidy is and his shtick, because I've just been watching AEW a little bit. But does he actually wrestle, or is it just his shtick that hands in the pockets?
I mean, he wrestles while doing that. Like he does a suicide dive with his hands in his pocket.
Impressive.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And like he does like the Shawn Michaels kip up from his back with his hands in his pocket. I mean, he's super athletic, but he's just always in character the entire time. And
it's a good shtick.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it can last forever.
I went to that House of Hardcore show, and he was there. He wrestled, and he is like so over. He did a meet and greet during the intermission, and his line was incredible.
Everybody's loving it.
Yeah, but when he came out, I looked around, and there was like a couple like older people in the crowd, and they were like, you could tell they hated it and they were pissed off about him. But it's entertainment, man.
Totally.
I think he's awesome.
And on TV, it's hilarious because I mean, you can just capture what he's doing. It's a pretty good idea. And I mean, if you've got a good shtick like that, I mean, sometimes the wrestling. I mean, you want to be a solid wrestler in the ring and everything, but like you said, to go over one of those things. I mean, what's his face? I call him the goat boy, but the yes thing. I mean, like the fans like that more than they like him. They just come out and do it for whatever, basically. Well, hey, we're getting to 8, and I know Mandy's got another show. This flew by. Wrestling was easier to talk about than comics, but we love them both.
Absolutely.
I'm going to wrap it up here because, this was a good first one and I didn't F anything up too badly.
No, you did. I'm telling you. You did freaking amazing. You did so good. So much better than
you guys made it easy. And I want to thank everybody in the chat for showing up. Thank you guys. Sorry we couldn't figure out the links, Jade, but thank you for trying. And I'm actually not 100% sure. I think just end broadcast basically. Is that
is
what wraps it up here?
Yes.
Cool. Well, good night, everybody. Thank you for showing up. Check out my YouTube page if you can like it, retweet it, and subscribe. I don't have a ton of subscribers, so I would love to have all you guys subscribe. I'm going to put a bunch of live
more drawing
videos up there, some more artwork and stuff, and going to be more interviews. But thanks to all my guests for showing up tonight. This was awesome. And thank you guys for checking it out. And I am going to end the broadcast right now.
Bye.
Everybody have a great night.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.